Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. I just want to thank Samantha for coming to speak with us today. She's going to be sharing, we're kind of been calling it Samantha Speaks. It's her story. Yeah, pretty cool title. It's her story of her family and kind of how Young Living has made an impact on her family and her children. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Samantha. Thank you for coming and speaking with us.
You're
Yay.
welcome. Okay. Those of you who know me know that I'm not the best public speaker in the world, so just bear with me. I have a 9-year-old autistic son who 6 months ago was non-potty trained, nonverbal, um, severe meltdowns, all the good stuff that goes along with it. So I was introduced about 6 months ago to Young Living Oils by Ginny, who said, you know what could it possibly hurt? Because I was very leery, we had just started weaning him off his medications, telling, the doctors we didn't like the Risperdal. It's also, if anybody's not familiar with it, it's an antipsychotic. My child is not schizophrenic, he just has some compulsion issues. Was doing severe liver damage to him, and also it was raising his cholesterol. At that age, who really needs it? So we said, we're taking him off everything, we can't handle it anymore. We switched neurologists, we switched doctors, we saw everybody that they told us to under the sun. And no one had any, well, this is how it is. This is the best you can hope for. Wasn't the best I could hope for. Anybody who's a mother can say the same thing, you want better for your kids. So just on a fluke, I happened to be working with Ginny's daughter, who said, my mom has this cool stuff. Why don't you just have her come over and talk to you? Okay. So we work at a diner. We're sitting here. Ginny's telling me about the oils, which are very fragrant, in the middle of the diner with oil everywhere. And the fun part is nobody complained. It smelled nice. So I said, all right, I'll sign up. I'll see what happens. I spent more money on stuff that did absolutely nothing, so what could it possibly hurt? I got my oils in. The first thing I did was, okay, let's put it into perspective. My child does not sleep at night. He sleeps about 1 to 2 hours a day, total, 24 hours in a day. He also breaks all the child locks. He climbs out the window in the middle of the night and just decides to walk down the street because that's how he is, that's what he is. We have therapy dogs to keep him inside the house or to alert us when he's trying to sneak out a window, or we've talked to the fire department, who now knows that his windows are locked in 4 different places so that he can't get out, but they know that if there's a fire, just break the wall down, we don't care. That this is the room you have to go to first and break everything down. We were at that point. So I said, all right, let me try peace and calming. That's what everybody says works, let's go with it. I just need to get more than 1 hour sleep a night, because it's just, and even when he is sleeping, you're still awake, because at any point he's going to get up and he's going to climb out a window. At one point he did escape at 4 o'clock in the morning when everybody fell asleep. I live on a very busy road. He's walking down the middle of the road at 4 o'clock in the morning. Thank God there was nobody else on the road. And a neighbor who knew him, knew his situation. Her dog was going ballistic. She said maybe there's a bear. She went to look out the window. The dog jumped out the window, brought my kid home. It was just a miracle in its sense that no one got hurt. And yeah, I said, I need something. Something's got to give here before I have a nervous breakdown. So the first thing we did when we got the oils, we put peace and calming on his feet. Because apparently when you put it on the feet, it goes through the body and goes into the entire system. I was doing all that. You got to do your research. I said, okay, I'll put it on his feet. What could it possibly hurt? The first night, it was good. He slept maybe 4 hours. And I said, he was tired. I'm a skeptic. We've been using it for a long time. Now, I have to wake him up in the morning. He goes to sleep at probably a normal hour, like 9:30. And the first thing he does is put his feet in my face and say, where's my oil? Okay, whatever. We put his oils on him. He does the peace and calming. He sleeps between anywhere between 5 and 8 hours now
Wow,
at night, which is
that's fantastic.
just a miracle in itself. So I said, I don't care if I don't buy anything else, I'm just keeping this, that they don't sell it in gallon bottles or I would have it.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, let's just add one more thing to it and see what happens. What could possibly go wrong? We got his blood test results back. His liver was a little funky because of the Risperdal. We wanted all that cleaned out of his system. So, like I said, you gotta do your research. Nothing hurts. You can slap anything you want on, but we wanted something that was like, okay, I'm one of those people, I want an effect right now, right this second. I want to see instant results or I don't believe anything is possible. So we found Rutavala. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, Rutavala. Which they said was good for the symptoms of autism. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, it does not smell that nice. It's a little bit strong.
It's a little rough.
Yeah. But you warm up to it. After seeing the results of it, I've warmed up to it. It's, I can deal with it. The best thing that we found was to put the roller on it. Because when you put it on your hands and try to rub it on him, now I'm smelling it all day and it's strong.
Right.
For lack of better words, it's very strong. So we got the rollers for it. And now I was only interested in this because it was supposed to help relieve the symptoms of autism, the compulsion so we were rolling it on his back. Had the little roller, roll it up and down his spine.
Sam, do you want to say what's in Rutavala? It's lavender, valerian, and ruta.
Yes, valerian and ruta. So
I'm sorry. You said to relieve symptoms of autism. You were just looking for some relief of compulsion.
compulsion,
and what else?
like something to relax him because he was very on edge. Like he was constantly, like his fists were always clenched because everything was always bothering him.
Okay.
Like there was no way, like with autism, from what I understand, there's no filter. Like we're all sitting here and we're all talking and it's not a big deal. But if he was sitting here, not only is he hearing my voice, he's smelling the diffuser, he's smelling the food, he's hearing the buzz of the lights, and everything is exactly the same.
Okay.
Like nothing is higher or lower in pitch, it's all right there. So we were trying to get him something that could help him focus a little better and ignore the stuff that's around him. Like taking him into the store is,
Overwhelming.
no, it's not gonna happen because of the
sensory
sensory
Right,
overload,
right.
because of the lights, the
Okay.
the buzzing of the lights throws him completely over the edge. I mean, he couldn't even walk into a supermarket and like a warehouse place like BJ's or something, not gonna happen. He just there was too much space and too much buzzing and people talking. He just couldn't handle it at all. He could not go to a store. So we started rolling this oil on his back. Got another blood test back, maybe a month later, to find that his liver enzymes were normal.
Huh?
Wow.
How did that happen?
Awesome.
Here we go, look up the research again on the internet. That particular oil is supposed to help with liver.
Oh.
People who have fatty liver, cirrhosis, all that it helps with, apparently. And his liver enzymes were coming back normal. It could be because we took him off the medicine, yes. But it also, we put this on it and, probably a combination of both. That, I'm not going to say like, oh, this is the cure-all, this is what happened. We took him off the medicine, we used this, the results were this. His liver enzymes were fine. So I said, okay, that's it. My husband got me this big desk reference because, he said I was always hogging the computer. Yes, exactly this right here. This giant desk reference. I have the same one at home for everyone.
The essential oils
Yes.
desk reference from Life Science
Yes.
Publishers. Okay.
It's a beautiful thing. Because he said, you're always on the computer and I never can get on, so here's your book, leave me alone. Okay. So, which was like the best thing in the world he could have ever gotten me as a gift because now I've constantly got my nose in this book. So then we, over the course of a month, give and take, like everybody's different, so each combination of oils is going to be different for who it helps. What we came down to with him, his regimen right this second, which is doing fantastic for him, and I'll tell you what his regimen is, then I'll get back into the reason why we know it's working from the teacher, the bus driver, the grandparents, everybody's standpoint. Right now in the morning when he gets up, we put the thieves on his feet, obviously because it's winter time, and he also has a touch of pica. If anyone doesn't know what pica is, they eat everything that's non-edible. He'll bite into my wall and eat the sheetrock. He licks the bathroom doorknobs. He'll eat rocks and dirt, and he's had salmonella, he's had E. coli.
Mm.
Yeah. Because he's so quick, it's amazing. His one-on-one aide in school says he drank the Lysol, and I have no idea. I was holding his hand and he drank the Lysol. I said that this does not surprise me. I know that he does these things. It's not, it's the compulsion to. Yet when he was tested, the doctor said he didn't have pica, but yet he still eats these things. So, whatever. We just now, last summer he broke open the lock on the pool and ate the chlorine tablets out of the filter.
Oh my gosh.
The emergency room knows us on a first name basis, and so does poison control. So we were at that point where we said there has got to be something. Something has got to give here before we all have a nervous breakdown. And he's almost 10, he'll be 10 next month. He's not a small child. He's almost as tall as I am. He's strong. At 3 years old, I was trying to vacuum, he's lifting up the couch. I'm like, okay, Bam Bam, thank you very much, but could you put that down now? But when you get into dealing with autistic kids, they are very strong because no one told them they shouldn't be. So this, in the morning when he gets up, he puts the thieves on his feet because, and I have to tell you, since we've been using the thieves on his feet, he hasn't been sick. And I'll get into tell you how sick he was up until this point.
How long has that been?
Since, I'm going to say, the beginning of September when he went back to school.
That's great.
And every year up to that point, like I said, he had salmonella, he had E. coli from everything that he was licking. He had strep throat with 105 fever at one point. They couldn't get rid of it because of so many germs. He had ear infections. I can't even tell you. I don't think one ever went away. With the amount of antibiotics and everything, the ear infections it never went away. It dimmed and then he came back again. His doctor actually called and found out if we moved. Because he hasn't been there. Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I want
Yeah.
that call too.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
She
That's
said, "Where
fantastic.
have you been?" She's like, I see your daughter, for her physicals, but, she's like, I haven't seen your son, in about 6 months. I said, well, this is why. So we're actually seeing a doctor now that is doing talks in Valley Hospital about the essential oils.
Awesome.
So,
Fantastic.
yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's doing really well. So from the thieves, we put on the Valor on his wrist. Now with that, he loves the smell. It keeps him calm while we're getting the rest of the oils because he's impatient. He's worse than I am. I want immediate results. Like you said you were going to do this, I want them all over right now. It doesn't matter if you have to take your turn. And he knows where they go and when. Like he knows the regimen, end of discussion.
Excuse me 1 second. The thieves that you put on, are you putting that on his feet?
I'm putting that on his feet.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then the Valor is on the wrist.
On the wrist.
Okay.
And then from the Valor, we go back to the feet again, and I have all my little thingies right here. I need visuals.
That's good. We all do.
Sure not kidding. And you can smell some of the highly potent stuff.
Okay.
I have to have little ends on them because his name is Noah, and my husband says, "Oh, I'll help you." But if you don't have all of Noah's oils lined up where he can see them, and you're missing one, it's not a good morning. So he has to grab all the ones that say N on them so he doesn't forget anything. I can never say these. Everyone's going to have
Vetiver?
Vetiver. Yes,
Vetiver.
everyone has to correct me on these. I'm not very good with these names. We also put the roller on this because he likes it. We put rollers on most of them just because he likes the way they feel. Now this one helps supposedly with symptoms of ADHD. My daughter also gets this one. And we put this on the underside of his big toe, both big toes.
In the morning also?
In the morning also. I'm not sure why we do it that way, but somewhere in that book it said to do it that way, so we do, and it works. He stays calm.
Can I smell that one?
Sure.
I don't think I've ever smelled this. Is this one of the nasty ones?
It's not as bad, but it's yeah.
Oh, there it
My
goes.
husband had them this morning. He's like a King Kong when he puts the tops back on.
How does one smell? Like
It's
the
not
ones
horrible.
already?
Yeah, it's not horrible. You
Does
can
anybody
roll.
else wanna smell? Sir, anybody? Okay.
And then from this one we move on.
Actually, here, why don't you give me that, we'll line them up here.
Okay.
And then this way,
Oh, we went through the vowel already.
Valley we have, okay,
Okay, and then we go to the
Rutavala.
Rutavala. I'll never get that right.
and
This
that
is the one is pretty potent. That's the one we roll on his back.
oh, that goes on the back.
Yeah,
And
like
that's
up
in
and
the
down his
morning
spine.
also?
In the morning also.
Okay, 'cause-
It helps you relax. You can do it at night too,
Right.
but because he has a 45-minute bus ride to and from school, we do it in the morning.
Rutavala, okay,
His,
I don't have that spelled right.
His aide doesn't like the smell of it, but I pretty much told her too bad.
Good for you.
They told me I had to stop using them at one point because it was nauseating to the aide, and I said I would then get a new aide. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
Now, do you put that along the spine?
Right up and down his spine, on both sides of his spine.
Okay.
Mhm. And then we do cedarwood,
Oh, thanks.
which we actually do right on his shoulders, like right here. And another one that's more relaxing to help focus. And then the lavender, everybody's gotta have their lavender. We do across his forehead and on his sinuses and the back of his ears.
Mhm.
Now this one is really funny because his poor bus driver, he has to sit in a 5-point harness that is attached to another strap on the bus because he gets up off the bus and runs to the back of the bus and tries to jump out while the bus is driving down the highway. So he's got this special harness that everyone has to, learn how to use who's on the bus with him. They also have an aide on the bus now because he does these wonderful things. But he also, another boy just got on the bus with him. There's about 5 kids on the bus with the aide and the bus driver. The bus driver is very good. She also has an autistic grandchild, so she understands all these things. But her bus is very loud, very rowdy. Everyone's screaming, everyone's punching windows, and she's afraid that someone is going to break a window and get hurt. I gave her the lavender, it's a little bottle of it, and I said, you know what? I said, if my kid is acting up, I said, you can't put it on everybody else's kid because, you gotta ask their parents. It's not up to them. I said, if mine is acting up, put some of this on, no big deal. She saw such an improvement from having the Valor just on his hands to smell. He didn't carry on anymore on the bus, that she, before everybody gets on the bus, she sprinkles it on all their seats.
Alright, and this was lavender.
This is with lavender, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, right?
So she puts it on her seat. She said, I did not put it on the children. I did nothing wrong. I just put it on their
She's
seats.
just cleaning the bus. with
She's
it.
just cleaning the bus, exactly. And the bus smells very nice now.
That's great.
I think I see a travel diffuser in the future.
Yes, definitely. This is, I think this one may have leaked a little. This is the carrot seed. Now, carrot seed, along with the autism, he has severe eczema. I know we were talking about that, to the point where it is, he makes himself bleed. He literally rips his skin off in chunks because he doesn't like the way it feels. This is also coming from a child who has absolutely no pain threshold. His tooth was wiggly, it bothered him, he yanked it out of his mouth and threw it at his teacher. I get calls every day. It's interesting the things that he can do. But the carrot seed we used on all the eczema spots. And I have to tell you how amazing this carrot seed is. I got it, actually I ordered it by mistake. I thought I was ordering something else, but the computer things are really small. I thought I was ordering something else. I said, you know what, I have it now. I'll just throw it on, what's one more thing? So, but it turns out that in that booklet, the carrot seed is actually really good for eczema. So we put it on, and he still has eczema, don't get me wrong. But he doesn't rip out chunks of his skin anymore and make himself bleed. It's still red, but it's not that rough patch of can't stand, gonna drive myself crazy thing, which was another reason he could not focus. Yeah, don't leave these out here, anyone wants to smell them, that way they can see how wonderful they are. And then the peace and calming we do throughout, not only, this is the one we do at night, also with lavender on the back of his ears and his neck for at night, but this is, periodically throughout the day if, weird things happen, like, oh no, you can't set your sister on fire, it's not a good thing, and there's a meltdown, we have peace and calming, which really works. And also with the dogs, I diffuse this all over the house, and the new puppies that have, their issues, everybody stays calm, and it's nice, very, very calm in the house. And then I have the fennel. This is only in case of emergency. My son has severe constipation problems. He wasn't potty trained, so he didn't like to go to the bathroom because he didn't like the way it felt, but he couldn't get it through his head that, if he went into the bathroom, it would be a lot easier. So he would hold it to the point where he couldn't go anymore. We would rub a little of the fennel around his belly button and on his stomach, and in 20 minutes, boy, let me know, we could time it. He was ready to go.
Really?
And we could run him to the bathroom.
Wow. That's insane.
So the impressive thing about this, like I said, this is our regimen. I'm sure there's hundreds of different combinations you can use. You have to figure out what's good for you. And apparently that book is really good, because let me tell you, doing the research, I'm probably going to add like 20 more to those. I could just feel it coming. The difference now, 6 months ago I told you he wasn't potty trained, nonverbal, race around the bus, couldn't concentrate, drink weird things. He now is, I'm going to say, 85% potty trained within the 6 months. He is more verbal. I'm going to say probably 75% verbal.
Now, he wasn't speaking at all.
No, it was more of yelling, screaming, pointing, pulling. Very few words. Maybe he had about 5 words.
Right.
Yeah, so he's really, like I said, he goes to a special school. I can't say that this is the cure-all, everybody get this, because this is what's going to make your child work. This is what worked for us.
Right.
Excuse me, he went to the special school before.
Yes, he's been going since he was 3.
So the only thing that's really different
Is the
is
oil.
he got off the regular medications
And
and you've added the oil.
Right.
And what kind of language does he have now, Sam?
I would say 75%. He can ask for what he wants. He knows what he wants. He can tell us when he has to go to the bathroom. It's a big joke in my house because it's like a social event. When he has to go to the bathroom, he like stands up on a stage and he's like, "I'm going to the bathroom." We're like, "Okay, congratulations, just go on in there." He doesn't have to wear the pull-ups anymore, only at night and if we're on long trips, because I'm still paranoid. He's been doing really well, but I still think that, something could happen.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time,
Right.
exactly.
So how many words would you say are in his vocabulary now? If he had 5 initially?
All of them. He doesn't use them because he's lazy, but he has them.
So he's receptively as well as expressively communicating.
Yes, he's he's not interested in things, or he wasn't interested in anything. Toys, anything. Things could just be happening where a bomb could go off around him. He'd be like, whatever. He did his own thing in his own little world. Now he notices things that are going around him. He likes to play music. He knows what songs he wants to hear. He plays with his sister and his cousins now, which is...
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, he did not play with anyone before. He did not want to be bothered with anyone. He didn't play with anyone.
Can he read?
Yes, but he's lazy. He likes to take your finger and point to all the words.
Has that remained the same?
He doesn't take your finger and point to it anymore, but he finds the books that he's getting from school boring now because they're not age appropriate, they're younger. So we're going to try within the next couple weeks to start moving up in more age appropriate books because he doesn't want to touch these anymore. He doesn't want to be bothered with them.
And that's the difference?
Yeah, he thinks that they're boring now. Like to him, it's like you see Spot run, so what? Spot ran.
My
big deal.
nephew is also autistic and he's in high school and he is an avid reader now.
Yeah.
He reads and reads and reads, but they're having all kinds of behavioral problems. That's why she couldn't be here today, so I'm taking these notes
Yes.
for her. So yeah, they have a lot of violent outbursts from
Yes.
him, and that's what they're dealing with, acting out.
Yeah.
Did you experience that?
He does have a lot, he did, yeah, I should say that he did, because he would grab you and squeeze you as tight as he possibly could on his arms.
Did he hit?
He didn't hit, but I hear that comes when they get older.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, this is something
teenage,
as
yeah.
he's aged.
Yeah,
It's
the frustration gets higher, so I haven't
Yes.
dealt with that yet. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that we'll get this all under control before.
Yeah.
But we haven't dealt with that yet. We have dealt with the, we're still in the temper tantrum mode, where I'm gonna squeeze you as hard as I can, I'm going to bite
Okay.
you, I'm gonna try to do everything I possibly can to make you do things my way and not your way.
Now, has that improved?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I tell him now, where before you had to, people used to laugh at me because I had this, big child that I had a leash on because I just couldn't catch him. I mean, if he decided he wanted to take off and he wouldn't listen,
Yeah,
he did
no, I
not
understand.
respond.
I've
If
seen
you
it.
called his name, he just, like, you weren't even talking to him. He just kept on going. Now, if I say his name and I say stop, he stops where he is. If I tell him you guys sit down, he comes back, so he can actually go for a walk with me, where before he couldn't do anything like that. He's definitely improved in all of his day-to-day life skills. I'm not gonna say that he's your typical 10-year-old now. He's not. But he does have an improved value of life, where now he can actually enjoy things, where before he couldn't enjoy anything. He didn't want to enjoy anything. He didn't want to be involved with anything or anyone. He wanted to do his own thing in his own way, where now he likes to be involved in what's going on. He's learned how to use the computer. The talking helps tremendously now, where, instead of sitting in the middle of the room screaming and throwing a tantrum because you wanted a bowl of cereal, now he walks over to the cabinet and he's like, I want the cereal. Okay. See how much easier this is.
And this is something that's changed for you for every day.
For every day. Yeah, these
Since
are the
you-
everyday things.
That happened pretty quickly, but it's
Within
maintained.
the 6 months, it's
Yeah.
maintained
Yeah.
that we've been doing this. So we are more than thrilled.
So it's the potty training, the verbal, the reading, the regular everyday conversations.
Yes.
Less tantrums.
Less tantrums, definitely less tantrums. I mean,
And
and-
an improvement in just activities of daily life. And
Yeah.
somebody else.
Quality of
the
life.
quality of life is so much better now for everybody. And when he does have his meltdowns and tantrums, where before they could last for days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he'd go to sleep, wake up the next day, and still be in this mood. Now, if it's like a really, really long one for him, is 15 minutes, and then it's like this morning he had one over. We were talking. You can't pour syrup on the dog. It's not, it's not nice.
Mm-hmm.
That was the ultimate meltdown. Until we did the whole peace and calming on your head, and then he was like, okay, we're not going to pour syrup. Then, like, he could actually stop I have to do it my way, to listen enough to say, okay, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do.
Mm.
To stop the tantrum and say, okay, I'll do something else then,
Okay.
which was million times better than, but like I said before, it could last for days over don't pour syrup on the dog.
Right.
It's, yeah. I mean,
So
it's,
when you're putting the peace and calming on his head, like when that's happening, you said you put it on his
yeah,
head,
while it's happening.
on his forehead.
We do the forehead and behind the ears and on his
Okay.
neck. That seems to be, I guess,
Okay.
because he can smell it better that way.
Yeah.
And he realized, plus we diffuse it in the house when needed. We can't
Okay.
diffuse it in his room because he'll drink it.
Ah.
He still does that periodically. Not as bad. He doesn't eat dirt and rocks anymore.
But if he did drink it,
It
at
wouldn't
least,
hurt him.
At least you wouldn't have to.
It wouldn't hurt him. The only thing that bothers me is that, I'm afraid he'll stick the plug in his mouth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you tell him what it's doing for him when you're putting the oil on him.
You could actually see him relax. Like, you
Would you
could,
tell him that?
Yeah,
this
does
is-
he, does he understand what's,
sometimes when he gets really, really frustrated, and I say, you have to tell me what you want, he'll walk over and he'll go over to the little box I have and he'll say, oils, I need oils.
so he
Okay.
does
He
understand that
knows
it's
that
helping.
that's helping him. Absolutely. Yeah.
So you kind of walked us through the first couple of oils that you introduced.
Mhm.
And then how did you determine how did you come up with the protocols that seemed to be working for you? I mean, you did the Ludavala
Mhm.
and then what did we do next?
Well, we decided, like I said, I was doing a lot of research to find out what what grouped in with what I needed it for. I found everything I could possibly find that said it was relaxing and calming, and that's what we started with. And then from there, the ones that helped concentration, to help, focus more, we did all those.
Which one was it focusing again?
The cedar wood, that seemed to help the best with him. That goes on right before he gets on the bus so that he can say, okay, I'm gonna have a really good day. His teachers, they have a behaviorist that works with him for behavior modification, because the things he did at home, he intensified about 400 times he did in school because he could. What are they gonna do about it? Lock me in my room? No, they're not, it's not gonna happen. There's nothing really, he's a typical kid in that sense where he goes, teachers can't do anything about it, so I'm gonna take a fit. They did call me, the teachers, when we started this, and they wanted to know what changed at the house, why he was really, why he was so more focused in school. He did fantastic in his reading group, he was playing with his friends, in the school, he, everything was a big joke for him. He could,
It was Kate.
he could, he actually could get something out of the lesson they were doing. He loves math. They didn't realize that he could be on an algebra level now if he wanted to be. But nobody knew that. Nobody knew how much he liked numbers because he couldn't tell us that. So the behaviorist, they have a chart, they have the little spikes for when his behaviors were bad. And before the oils, the spikes were way up here. Now with the oils, the spikes are just every once in a while here. And they have to mark it if he even takes like a 3-second meltdown. They have to mark that he was mad over something. And most of the time it's mad because they tell him not to throw his lunch in the garbage. He's not going to get the cupcake until he eats his lunch, and that usually makes a little spike. I admit it, I spoiled him, what can I say? But he has made that improvement in school. We weren't even going to attempt potty training him because we just didn't think he was ready. But the behaviorist said, you know what, he's doing so well in everything, let's just give it a shot. Send in the underwear, the extra change of clothes. The first week was awful.
So the behaviorist noticed
Yeah.
changes.
The
The
behaviorist.
teachers noticed
Yeah.
changes.
Mhm.
Okay.
And they said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and try to potty train him. Okay. Sent everything in. The first week, it was like, okay, I was getting bags of laundry home. Okay, he had accidents, he had this, he had that. I said, whatever they want to do, if they want to try it, go for it. That's when we started upping the oils too. Like before that, he was only maybe having 3 or 4 oils a day. Then we started doing this whole regimen. He comes home dry every day. He doesn't have accidents unless he's doing it on purpose, which I've gotten calls from the school. Like the one male, they had a substitute one time, a male teacher, and he thought it was funny because he peed on his shoes on purpose. And he called me and he said, your son peed on me. And I said, what do you want me to do? I'm not even there. But now we know that before we would say, oh, well, that's his autism. Well, now we know he's being a wise guy. And he thinks it's funny. Because he'll tell me, I peed on him, and he laughs. And I said, you can't. Now I have to get out of the mindset of being autistic as to being, you're just being a boy and it's not funny. Where I
think that's amazing.
I'm not used to it.
That he could think that through.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Yeah.
Like he can make a joke or
he is such
amazing.
a wise guy with his jokes now that you can't even.
That's amazing.
So his personality's coming out.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh, he could be a stand-up comedian.
All of that all along. It's just
It was always there. We just couldn't
get it out.
We couldn't get it out of him. We didn't know what he was like. He was like just a blank slate for 9 years. He just had no expression, no anything, and that was it. Where now he makes jokes, and we're just not used to it. What is going on here? He gets mad now because I have also a 6-year-old daughter who thinks that she's the mom. She's always trying to get him dressed, tie his shoes, and now he's like, go away, and he ties his own shoes. Where before he wore Velcro shoes because just the patience level involved in me trying to tie his shoes, he would kick me. It's just, that's too much. Now he sits there and he ties his own shoes. And he won't let her help him anymore. She goes, let me go get your stuff for you. Oh no. He picks out his own clothes for school. He gets himself dressed. He ties his own shoes. He knows if it's hot or cold and what coat he needs. He goes and gets his coat. He packs his own bag for school. The only thing he doesn't pack is his lunch because he'll pack all brownies and nothing else.
Typical boy.
Yes.
That is a typical boy. Absolutely.
Um,
It sounds like he's proud of his progress.
oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that I think is a huge
Mhm.
thing, that he knows that he's,
He has a therapy dog, which he takes care of. Like, he knows he brushes him now. He, he knows his therapy dog is actually for the sensory. So if he needs a lot of deep pressure, by the time you're exhausted. One person can't give him the amount of deep pressure he needs. So we have this dog now that is very big. He's 170 pounds. And he leans on him and gives him the deep pressure. But now he knows to take care of him. He doesn't feed them yet because he feeds them and they get
Right.
rid of it. But he does give them.
but it's probably coming, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, he gives them the water. He brushes him. He can't walk him because he'll just be like, "Bye, go swimming."
That's
But
amazing.
he's really come an unbelievable. And this is all, like I said, since 6 months, since from beginning to end.
Now,
It is
you said the behaviorist is the one who initiated the toilet training,
Yes,
and that took place initially in school.
in school. We weren't even going to do it at home because we said there's no. So they did it about 4 months in school, and they said, he's been dry every day. Are you even trying at home? I said, I don't. It didn't even occur to me to try it at home because there's so much other things going on. And we went through the whole. He thought it was funny, like, oh no, I can still wet my pants because I'm home. But a couple times when you pee in your shoes, it's not fun anymore. And he was like, you know what? Probably not the best thing in the world. And does fantastic now. I mean, this morning he got up and he was so mad at me because I didn't put his clean underwear from the laundry room in his drawer. And when he went to get a pair of clean underwear and they weren't there, I was like, oh my goodness, what is wrong with you? He needed his, he was like, I just went to the bathroom. Where are my underwear? And why aren't you here? Where are my clothes? Where is my breakfast? Which is, he's a wise guy. He really is amazingly a wise guy now. I mean, he was joking around, like, he likes to cut paste. He does have one compulsion that we said, you know what? Of all the things, we'll let you have your one compulsion. He sits with a pair of scissors and he cuts pieces of paper into little tiny pieces and there's a pile this high of paper that he'll just sit all day and cut. You have one thing, I can deal with it. Of all the other things. But he was laughing. His sister said, she was busting around with him and said, oh, I'm going to cut your hair. So he thought that was hysterical, and he took his hair and he cut like a reversed mohawk in his hair. But that was his joke, like, oh, you're going to cut my hair? I cut it now. What are you going to do about it? And then tried to blame it on her, which was amazing in itself, where he was just like, I said, what happened to your hair? And he's like, Haley. I'm like, oh, no, Haley did not do that. Don't even. So,
Now, what does your daughter think of all the changes if she's no longer able to?
she doesn't really,
How old is she first?
she's 6.
She's sick.
So
Okay.
she doesn't
she's young.
really, she knows that he's doing well, and she praises him that he's doing well, but she just, in her mind, he would have done well anyway.
Well,
Like, this
she
is,
doesn't understand.
yeah,
The perspective
'cause-
of a
yeah,
6-year-old,
I mean,
yeah.
she was,
But how about grandparents and
oh,
family
the
members?
grandparents they're just totally amazed, they can't even believe it. I have to go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, so my parents put him on the school bus in the morning, and they know too, like, now, my mother has a whole, she's involved in all the oils, so she's got this whole cabinet full of oils, and, she asked me in the morning, what did you forget? Did you forget anything? Because I have it here if you forgot it. No, I got it. We're all good.
That's great.
Love
That's
that.
that's
Yeah.
so great.
So
Amazing.
So now, what is the behaviorist doing with all the charting and all the? What do they have to say now about all this?
she's the one who didn't like the oils to begin with. She still is pushing me to put him back on medication because she's saying that he could do so much better if I would just put him back on the medication. So we're still fighting about that because she won't admit that something natural actually helped. It just would be easier for her if he was a little zombie because then she wouldn't have to make up a plan for him. But it's just not something we're willing to do. His aide and his teacher said pretty much, don't listen to her. This is fantastic. We've never seen him do better. And yeah, he's a lot of work. He needs a one-on-one aide. He's hyper. He's running all over the place. He thinks everything is funny.
He's almost like a big preschooler.
Yeah, but some
Like
of
he's
that,
getting
but-
to that.
but some some of that might actually
He's
be.
That's it. Yeah, that's his
He's seeing
personality.
the world a
My
whole
husband
different
is
now.
like that. My husband is a big preschooler. The things that goes on. I said, anybody has a weak heart, don't come to my house. Because it's too much.
So your husband, how's he with all of this?
Oh, my husband was like, oh, what voodoo are you doing today? You know, that kind of thing. But when I said I wanted to do it, he said, what could it hurt? We spent more money on doctors that didn't do anything. He's like, you want the house to smell nice? Knock yourself out.
Okay.
Order anything you want. I don't care. Just, you know, he's like, just don't let him drink it. We don't know how good it is. I said, no, it's supposed to be really good. He said, I'll drink it first. That way. But, you know, he said, okay. But now he is a total believer because he went and got his own. He made me get him that Vitasage thing for his back, you know, with the oils. You know, he's got to do that every night. He's got his whole regimen of his oils on his dresser now that he does. If something happens, he's like, where is it? Where did you take my oil? You know, he can't let anybody fool him now.
Right.
And he even, like, you know, he works in construction, so it's like the ongoing joke with the construction guys, like, oh, what'd your wife, you smell good, what'd your wife put on you today, you know? And he says, you know, he's like, I don't care what any of you guys say. He's like, see my back? I'm still working. You guys are all, I can't move. You know, so he's got even a supply of oil in his toolbox, which is
Nice.
it's really actually pretty funny to go from what voodoo are you doing to now I have the oils in my toolbox.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. Yeah.
You know,
Make a
and
believer out of you.
yeah.
Well,
And
the life change for the family just sounds remarkable.
it
to
really
me.
is. I mean, we went from being constantly paranoid, nobody sleeping, nobody even having any life because we would take turns who was going to be up listening and waiting and watching and
Just like
to
Andy.
we can
So
actually.
he's not doing that kind of thing now at all, where he would suddenly jump for the door, or
I don't know if he ever will again, but right now he's not.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm still up and like I'm a very light sleeper because of it. Like I can, if anybody moves in the house, I'm awake.
Mhm.
I know what's going on, but it's not where somebody has to be stationed outside his door now to be, you know, okay, something's going to happen. I mean, we have a camera in his room with the TV next to the bed so we can watch what's going on in the room. So if he's trying to break out the window, we can catch him. You know, I mean, it was at that point where it was like, who can live like this? Like the kid has no privacy. You know, it's just,
Yeah.
but there was things we had to do. You just couldn't let him be jumping out windows and walking down the middle of the road. Plus we live right by a lake.
Right.
You know, it just wasn't something that was, you know, safe for anybody.
Sure.
But now he just, you know, he's your typical, he has fun.
Okay. So his daily life is school and go home, and does he have friends? Did he have friends?
He didn't have friends because just the friends that were in the class,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that he taught, you know, that were same as him. Now he, my mother-in-law has, she's adopted children that are the same age as my children. And he goes, we say that they're cousins because it's hard to explain that, you know, your uncle is younger than you.
Right.
So they're all cousins. So he actually plays with them now, where he, you know, he jokes with them, he does things with them, not as severe, like sometimes he still just stands back and watches because there's a lot of them. You know, there's a lot of kids there, and it's just like, it's overwhelming for me, I can understand. But, you know, sometimes he'll just sit back and watch, but now he actually knows what's going on. He knows, you know, where before, like they had the kids' table where, because there's so many kids there and we were all over, the kids would sit here and the adults would sit here and he had to sit here. He couldn't sit with the kids because he just, you know, you didn't know what he was going to do.
Right.
Now he has his own spot with his own dishes and he sits with the rest of the kids and, you know, puts peas up his nose with the rest of them. So, you know, they're mostly boys. There's only 2 or 3 girls and they're all like, we don't want to sit by them. So they do their boy things now, which is really,
Cool.
yeah, really
That's
amazing
great.
for all of
That's
us.
great.
So
So what would be your word now if you're talking to other mothers that have been looking for anything to help? What would you tell them?
definitely do your research. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say, like I said, I'm not going to say it's a cure-all because I know that people went into this whole Jenny McCarthy thing and they're like, oh, well, we did this, then everything would be, well, my son's not allergic to gluten. And if we took all the gluten out of his diet, he would starve to death. I mean, he's just, that's not his problem.
Right.
He is allergic to certain things, like he can't have certain dyes, like he can't have red number 40 because it gives him hallucinations, which we didn't know until now. but now that he can tell us that he's seeing funny things when we give him this, you know, and it's mostly in cough syrups and stuff is this diet, this number 40 and all the candies, everything has this
Wow.
red number 40, which would actually
So
give
that's
us
a huge
hallucinations.
thing.
And we didn't know that until,
Right.
Holy smokes.
yeah. So I'm
And
thinking,
he
I'm
was-
giving this poor kid Tylenol all the time. He's seeing things on the wall.
And he was able to
Wow.
tell you.
He was able to say it made him feel funny. And then when we talked to the pharmacist who said, well, it's probably giving him hallucinations. We've heard of that before. And then it came out that it was giving him, he could, things that weren't there, he was saying, like, you know, if he were taking too much NyQuil or something.
Hmm.
So he, you know, now he doesn't have anything, we don't use any of that anymore because now we know, we didn't know
Yeah.
before. So he's, you know, now he's,
So do their research.
yeah, definitely have to do your research because, you know, what my kids' compulsions are not your kids' compulsions. You know, where my child didn't eat solid food,
Mhm.
all his food had to be pureed. He couldn't eat solid food. The texture and the sensory, what he just couldn't do it.
That was my next question.
Yeah, he could not do it. Now he eats everything
Really?
under the sun.
So that changed dramatically.
That changed dramatically. I mean, that was changing before the oils.
It was.
But it wasn't, he wouldn't try anything new. He would only eat like these 3 things that were solid. And that was it. Now he actually has a plate of food with different things on the plate, which you couldn't do before. Nothing could touch, nothing could be on the plate.
Mhm.
Now he has a variety of food and he eats everything. He eats salad and I mean, who eats, you know, like the texture of that. Like,
Right. Well, even kids just don't
Yeah.
want that. Yeah.
he eats salad, he eats pea soup, he eats chicken, I mean fish, you name it. He eats, and you know the funny thing is, I'm like, this kid is so funny. He won't eat fried fish. Apparently it's not good enough for you. He wants broiled fish. Okay, have it your way.
He has opinions.
Yes, definitely has opinions. You know, but it doesn't
What a
matter.
wonderful thing.
Yeah, but he puts ketchup on everything, but hey, everybody has their thing.
Hey?
Yeah,
Well, that's what kids do.
yeah, he
Yeah.
puts ketchup on everything. But he eats it now. He eats solid food. Where
So just knowing the symptoms that you're dealing with,
Mhm.
okay, and that's what you suggest to anybody is they list out their symptoms.
Yes.
And then go from that, which is what we suggest people do anyway when they use the oils for anything.
And when you look it up, what we did, you know, may not be good for everybody, but what we did was that we used one at a time, and we only added one at a time, so that we could see if there was any change. Because when they gave us the medicine that we were giving him, they said, oh, you only have to do one medicine at a time, every time you increase it, it was this tiny bit to see if there was any change. So we treated the oils the same way because we just didn't know any better.
Well, no,
Well,
that's
And it made a lot of
So that
sense.
does make sense.
We started with one, that one was fantastic. We did the research to say that it didn't matter, you could put 50 on him if he could handle the smell, you know, and go from there. So we just kept adding them. Like I said, I'll probably add more as summer comes because the symptoms are different in the summer. Because
True.
he's, you know, he's outside more, so he's not the cooped in. But then we just would add one. Every 3 to 5 days, we'd add another one to see how that was doing.
okay.
And things would improve as we would add things for whatever. Okay, well, the teacher called us and said he's having a hard time focusing, he won't stay in reading group, he's running around, where they had him on a regimen where he would have to go, he would do 10 minutes of work and have to go for a 15-minute walk in order to be able to sit back down and do 10 more minutes of work.
Mhm.
Where now he sits through the entire session and pretty much takes his break with everyone else.
Hmm.
So like I said, we did, okay, he's having a hard time focusing, so we found out that the cedarwood was doing that, so we put that on. You know, the cedarwood helped him
Yeah.
focus, so
Yeah.
you definitely have to do your research for what's going on at the time.
Right.
And at any point, any of this could change, where we could say, okay, he doesn't, you know, he's too tired, he's sleeping all day now, so let's back off on one of the relaxation ones if he's too
Mhm.
tired in
Right.
school, or,
Right.
and, you know, add something else to,
Okay.
it's definitely, I can't stress, do the research. We're not gonna say that, okay, this is the regimen I use and it's gonna work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last thing I have been so disappointed by watching all these people say that this is what cures it, this is what does it. If you do this, you're gonna see dramatic results.
And you're not the only one, because this is what I've heard from other people too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did all this stuff and I said, there's been no dramatic results. I haven't seen one single result. But with this, I can honestly say it's not over. I mean, I saw right away, I saw differences, but I didn't see huge changes up until you have to put it into perspective because it happens so slowly
Right.
and one thing at a time that you don't realize that until you look back on it 6 months ago. Wow, 6 months ago he was this far behind and now he's this far ahead.
It's almost like a natural progression of feeling
Exactly.
better.
It's like a natural thing.
Right.
It's not like the next day he woke up and he was speaking to me and he was telling me what he wanted and he was potty trained. No, it took 3 months to have him fully potty trained.
Okay.
But he did it. Where
Realistic
before,
expectations, though. I mean,
right.
okay. Now, does he drink the Ninja Red? Do you do that?
He won't touch it yet because
Okay.
it looks funny.
Okay. I was just wondering.
But my daughter drinks it, so she every day tells me, "You want to try it?" Because sometimes he'll just take things away from her just to be rotten and drink it and eat it. So every day she's like, "I have this and you don't," like trying to get him to drink it. So we're working on it. Because we stressed in him so much. Don't drink the paint. Don't eat the Play-Doh. That this is so red that he thinks it's paint.
Does he
He's
do
like, "You told me
supplements
not
or
to."
anything like that?
He
Or
does.
did he before even? I
No,
mean, I
he
don't
wouldn't
know.
take any vitamins or anything before. He wouldn't touch them. He didn't like the texture. Now he takes the Centrum Kids
Okay.
because he likes the octopuses on them. They have pictures of
Okay.
octopuses on the vitamins.
All right.
Okay. Hey, if you take it, that's perfect. It's got an octopus on it.
it.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, they're thinking maybe next month we'll try the Young Living
Mm-hmm.
Kids vitamins. I just have to see if I can get a picture of them to see if they have octopuses on
There you go.
them. they have some kind of imprint
They
on
have
them or
something,
something.
but I don't think
No,
it's
they
octopuses.
don't. No, they have nothing.
Nothing. I
So
probably
we
get
take
something to
some-
put put a little imprint on them.
Take some.
Something to think about. Okay.
Yeah. That's what he wanted, and he asked me every day, "Where's my vitamin?" The octopus. Okay, I got the octopus vitamin. Whatever.
Now, do you know anyone else doing this?
Not offhand.
You don't. Okay.
No,
I'm
I mean,
just
I'm
wondering.
trying to talk to a lot of the mothers, but they're still at my husband's point. Like, what voodoo are you doing? What are you putting on them?
Yeah.
You know, and they're very afraid. They don't want to take them off the medicine. They don't want to do
Right.
anything. And I told them, don't take them off the medicine. I'm supposed to. Please,
Yeah.
don't take anybody off medicine.
Yeah.
But all I suggested was just try it for the sleep because a lot of them don't sleep.
What about the doctor now?
The doctor we see is right in town,
Mhm.
and he also he's a firm believer of all this. I mean, I take cholesterol medicine, and he said since I've been taking the Ninja Red and the clove and the lemongrass, he's like, your cholesterol is lower than it should be. We're going to start taking you off your cholesterol medicine. So, you know, I mean, he's like come actually next month, March, he's like, I want you to start cutting it back because
Very nice.
your cholesterol's so low. And I'm like, really?
Mhm.
It's awesome. But I mean, just little things, and he says it. He's like, this has been around all along, but nobody cared about this stuff.
Exactly. It's nice that he's along with you though on it.
And it's very. I mean, their pediatrician is not really on board with it yet,
Okay.
but they're like, hey, if it makes you feel better and you think it's working, have a good time.
Okay.
Okay, have a good time.
Okay. So he's not on medications now? Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing
And he
at all.
was for years on
He was
medication?
on since he was 4. He was on Risperdal.
Okay, for
What
years
is the name
on.
of it?
Risperdal.
I just want to check with my.
Yeah.
Can you spell
Anything
it?
else he was on?
No, they wanted to put him on Prozac or some kind of Ritalin,
Ritalin. That was.
and I wouldn't let them. Because at that point I was like, wait a second, this is doing so much damage already.
Yeah.
And then you want to
yeah.
add something to it. So we wouldn't let, that's when we said we're taking him off. We're not putting him on anything more because this isn't
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
So
Great.
he went from there.
What's the next challenge you're gonna be looking at? It seems like you're kind of tackling one thing at a time. Is there a next thing you're thinking about looking at? Or are you waiting till the season changes?
We're waiting till the season changes.
Okay.
And then, because once school is out, I mean, he goes to school in the summer, but he has 2 to 3 weeks off at the beginning of the summer and 2 to 3 weeks off at the end of the summer. So we're waiting until school's out, and that's a whole nother list of challenges because everything's different.
Mm.
So we're gonna go from there, and this year we're gonna work on You're Not Gonna Eat the Dirt. Last year he did really well, like this past summer, because we started at the end of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So when we took him to the beach, he didn't eat the sand, and we were really happy. And we thought, oh, maybe he's growing out of it, but it could have been, we just started the oils at the time, so
Right.
so this year we try to take him to the playground and the beach and everything, and he doesn't eat the sand. We'll be
Okay. Good.
public restrooms. No, we would never do that because he licks the doorknobs. It's just yeah.
Funny, but he didn't wanna eat the solid food.
But he won't eat the solid
whole-
food. Exactly.
it's not
but
funny.
he'll punch a hole in the wall and eat the sheetrock.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which, like I said, though, we have been very good. We have not been eating sheetrock.
So are you, he's better, does he go to the stores?
Yes. I mean, I can't do an all-day shopping trip with him. I think it's mostly because he's a kid and he's like, I'm bored stiff. If you don't get me out of here, I'm going to take a fit.
Mhm.
But he can go to ShopRite with me now,
Okay.
where before he couldn't. he just, you walking in the door, he would just like, whole body out, blocking the doorway, not go in.
Yeah.
Where he can go to, I haven't taken him to BJ's yet, I haven't been that brave, but he can go to shop right now. He goes out to eat.
I was gonna say, what do you do? What can you do that you couldn't do before?
He actually, like I said, I go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I work at a diner.
Mhm.
So if there's a delayed opening or something and there's nobody around to take him to school, he comes to the diner with me and sits in the booth and watches TV and eats breakfast. That was would never happen before. And then I can leave work and take him to his bus stop, where before there's no way.
That's wonderful.
I would have to call in sick to work and say I can't. There's no way. I have to wait for him to get on the bus before I can come in,
Right.
because he couldn't be in that place.
Yeah.
You know, now we're thinking of all the things that are going on there. You can hear the dishwasher, the stove, the fans, everybody talking, the TV's on,
Mm-hmm.
all the different smells, and he's just fine. He doesn't. There's not a problem.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, and family trips or anything like that, or parties, or just stuff.
Vacations, yeah.
Life.
Well, we haven't been on a long period vacation since we started this, but we have done. He can go to birthday parties now at his cousin's house, and he does get involved with that. He doesn't really play the party games because I think it's just overwhelming because there's
Mhm.
always a lot of kids, there's always a lot of people,
Right.
but he does acknowledge that there's something going on. Like,
Okay.
he'll annoy somebody and be like counting the presents and telling
Mhm,
everybody that the
mhm.
presents are there. Yes, we know the presents are there, just don't open them.
Yeah.
Or like Christmas time, he opened his own presents this year
Oh.
and actually asked for which ones were his. Where the year before, Christmas was like, we didn't even want to get up Christmas morning because we already knew like the meltdown was going to begin because there was presents, it was shiny, there was too much going on, there was different people. His sister usually opened the presents for him and would show him. Christmas lasted about 3 weeks because she would show him maybe a present a day that she opened for him so that he could deal with one changed thing at a time.
Mm.
Where this year he head first dived in with everybody else, opened all the presents, took everything out of the box, there was things everywhere, things hanging from the ceiling, and I'm like, okay, what just happened?
And he had a good time.
He had a good time, he loved it.
So everybody
then-
else had a good
yep.
time.
And he went to his grandmother's house and dove into the presents there, and 2 in a row, like, what are you kidding me? And then he went to another grandmother's house and dove in again, and he just was like, oh wow, I'm having fun, look at us opening all these presents. Where the year before it just was not like that. We wouldn't even, people would say, you have to come over. I said, when everybody's gone, we'll come over because you have no idea.
That's
But this year he was just like, okay, I opened all my presents here, get me my stuff, we're going to the next house. He did really well.
Emotional roller coaster for you.
Oh yeah, it's just like, because I'm still waiting for that whole, he's not going to do well today, today's going to be a bad day. Where if it starts out a bad day, now I can say to him, no, you can sit there until you calm down, and he does. What just happened? You're sitting down, like I said, and you're calming down. What just happened? Where before it just wasn't like that.
It's just like a makeover for you too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you because if nothing else, you're providing hope, and
Yeah.
Hope is something that is an intangible, and yet we don't want to give people false hope. So that's why we wanted you to tell your story. So I greatly appreciate that. And from that point of view, I'm just going to stop the recording. So thank you everyone who's joined us. I'm Maureen, and thanks.